Imagine you woke up one day and you found that you had a brand new bank account with money in it that you could use to improve yourself and your life. That would be fantastic, right? Well, the thing is that in Singapore, we have that. It's called SkillsFuture, and the government gives us heaps of money to spend on actually upgrading ourselves, but not a lot of us use them. I want to talk today about how we can really get the best out of our SkillsFuture buck and how to optimize our workforce. Firstly, I learned as the director of a career center at the university that this interesting thing happens when people hear the word careers or career development, their brains switch off, right? It's almost as if they think like, oh, that's only if I lose my job or I can do that later. You need to think about lifelong learning as not about academics. It's not a chore. It's not drudgery. It's actually like self-care. It's about optimizing yourself. It's about upgrading your life. It's a fun thing. It's a culture. So, we need to reshape our mindsets towards what lifelong learning is. And we know that there's a whole host of intangible benefits from people who are great learners. They are happier, they're healthier, they're more confident, they have a better social network. So it's about getting that idea that I myself have the identity of myself as a passionately curious person and in finding the joy in the learning. The second thing is to remember that people are tribal creatures. My favorite marketing expert, Seth Godin, likes to say, people like us do things like this. That means that if you want to get anyone to do something, you have to tell them, hey, people like you are doing things like this. Like when you go to Amazon and it tells you, hey, people who read that book that you like also like this, and I'm going to check it out. Or when you go to Spotify, you listen to music, you can see real time what your friends are listening to as well. The thing about SkillsFuture is that we actually don't know a lot about who's using it, what our friends are doing, people like us are doing. We also don't know about the success stories. Who was successful at using it? What did they do? Let us know. How do we make SkillsFuture a more social thing and a more human thing so that we can get excited about learning together? Now, learning online is one thing. There are lots of benefits of that. But what's really powerful for learning is also having a community so that you hold each other accountable and you feel, hey, I'm not alone. I have got a whole bunch of people and we're all in this together. Super important. The third point is that now, SkillsFuture and closing the skills gap is one thing. That's where you need, say, domain experts to train you about skills. But in order for us to transform ourselves, we also need transformation experts. By that, I mean people who are specifically trained to help you change your mindset about yourself, about your capabilities, to give you more confidence, to support you, maybe even emotionally during a transition. These are people like coaches, like psychologists, like therapists, like counselors, who are actually trained in that sort of support. In the past, lots of people have a stigma against reaching out to a coach or a therapist because they feel, oh, that's only for weak people or people who are in trouble. But the fact is that today's most successful CEOs all have a coach. They view themselves as athletes who have trainers to help them perform at their best. And we need to embrace this mentality because all of us need a transformation expert of some sorts, whether it's a mentor or whether it's a coach, to help us and hold us accountable for that change. And lastly, I want to talk about hiring, because you can have the world's best talent and yet, the workforce is not going to be optimized if employers are still using biased ways of hiring that discriminate against people who are too old or don't have a university degree or whatever it is. 300 CVs come in for a position, for example, and the HR guy normally takes one look at the CVs and applies some sort of cut to make a short list. And most of the time, they're just looking at universities, the grades and age and those sort of things. We know from research that these are crude and ineffective measures. Grades have no correlation with workplace success. So employers need to open up their mindsets about their hiring practices and start thinking about using perhaps psychometric tools or other ways to identify, see who has been successful in their company and what are their character traits, for example, and start looking out for those and screening for those rather than just using CVs, degrees and other ineffective measures. So we need to almost like throw a grenade into the whole area of hiring practices and get employers to also shift their mindset if we're going to really optimize our workforce. So lots of good stuff in there. I think government has done a great job actually, but it's time for also individuals and for corporates to play their role in making Singapore a more vibrant and optimized workforce.